turn it up and then it's going to get too loud. I just like to do, well, I like classical music. This is like brainy type music. That's why they played in department stores and stuff. But I had to make a part 2 to this video because I talked so much on the last video, like I'm starting to do now. So, should we do another libation? Sure. Really, really quick. Hold it in. Blow it out through the nose. Make the sound whoo to blow it out the lungs. That's a quick one. Okay, so I originally made the first video to talk about what I call the Holy Chalice. So I have 3. This is the War Chalice, since I'm talking about Tai Chi Bo. And I pretty much created the War Chalice, the concept. The chalice itself was gifted to me. Like I said, I went over this before, but as part of the instructor's course, students will have to learn how to make these chalices. And now this war one, well, I'm not going to get into that because that's part of the course. But anyway, I really wanted to get into how this restarted me developing my cannabis culture, Qigong, GungFu, yoga, alchemy, and all that. Because I started it, or I had the concept years and years ago, but it was based on me smoking joints back then. We used to smoke joints, and then at the end, when you get down to the little piece of the joint, like you got to hold it with these 2 fingers. And so I'm like, oh shit! I thought I made up a new mudra. I thought I made up a new hand. I'm like, yeah, well maybe I can, because my best friend, Sifu Ben Hill Bay, his thing back then was mantis. He was doing Bagua, but he was into mantis too also when I met him. So I'm like, well shit, maybe I can make a kung fu out of that. Smoke a drink, bust somebody in the eye, and then when you roll the joint, you like maybe pinching them. So that didn't go anywhere. So years later, when I came out here to California, I'm starting to get a California accent. Well, years later when I came out here to California, and I've always been thinking about my own Kung Fu system since I'm a Bruce Lee era guy. I grew up when Bruce Lee was coming out and stuff like that. So I had the Jeet Kune Do book, you understand? So anyway, so I was gifted this by a brother who was supposed to have been a student. Again, I've been showing my old videos about them over the past couple of days. My first class out here was like 6 years ago. And, he was making these things. I didn't know anything about bongs. I'm from New York. We smoked joints, and then as I got older, the blunts came out, and that's what we smoked. That's how we smoked. And because marijuana, or cannabis, period, marijuana and hemp, was illegal when I was growing up, especially in New York, and I think it's still like really, really stupid restricted. You understand? I didn't even think about studying all the things that I know now, the spiritual, the spiritual side of my it gets really deep. No. Most of you don't understand. It gets really deep. Right now, I'm pushing the Tao part, the Afro-Asiatic part. It's a lot to that by itself. Now, where does that come from? As I told you, my system back there on the wall, my system of Kung Fu, that form is called I Ching Chuan. The temple is called I Ching Chuan Temple. I'm sorry. It's called I Ching Dao Temple. The form right there on the wall is called I Ching Chuan. That's why I have to do all these videos, because it's complicated. That's just the way my brain works. But that form up there is this book. It is not based on this book. Well, I guess it is based on this book, because the book was before the form. But anyway, it is the book. In other words, if you know anything about the I Ching, that form up there is basically the martial, the physical movements of this book. So it's not based on anything that just came off the top of my head. This book is very old, and it comes from Afro-Asiatics. Now, what do I mean by that? In China, we were already there. So-called black people were already everywhere. If Plato and people like that was like all land was once together and they all broke off from Africa, which they called it, we were already on the landmasses here as well, America. We were already on the landmass of China. We were already everywhere. Right? So maybe that's how black people got into Europe, because I know we ain't gonna walk out of Africa with fruit and vegetables in the sun and don't have to wear animal skins and just walk into the cold and be like, let's go. I'd be like, let's go back. Anyway, all right, so I'd be getting off the point. This restarted me thinking or creating the system that it is now. It's a lot more complicated than I wanted it to be, but basically this has started out with the 5 hands. The first form back there starts out with the fist. So the fist is made by when you hold the bong, or I apologize, when you hold the stem here. This is Kung Fu. So originally, like I said, I was thinking about this, so I was holding the stem like when we smoke, and I was using that. But I'm like, no, we're going to start out with the fist. So in our system, we hold the stem like a fist. So that's the first form. Now when we smoke, the other hand is holding it, closing off the hole, and holding up under. So basically you have a claw, or the beginnings of a claw, which just so happened my Wu style Tai Chi Chuan teacher is also the Grand Master on the East Coast, because you got a Grand Master over here on the West Coast, which is actually the children of the Grand Master of the Grand Master. But anyway, you know, once I hold it like this, I have a claw that I can make just like my Sifu's eagle claw. Alright, so that's 2 fists. That's the fist and the claw. That's yin. That's yin and yang. Bow, bow, bow. I grab your ass in points, and then I can punch the... And, okay. The other hand is that on my old videos you might see we used to get into circles and everybody had a bong or a chalice, and when we was practicing, and after we finished practicing we sit down, we smoke, and you hold the chalice a certain way, and that creates the palm, which is actually uh, the highest hand in the system. And you see it looks like the flame. This represents the flame. We'll get into that. So it takes the shape of the flame, and that's the palm. When we pass it, which is Ma Gu Xian Shou, Ma Gu passes the holy herb to the immortals. It is a chopping knife hand. And what am I missing? Oh, and the water hand, when we have to take this out to water the bong or the chalice, we use this in Tai Chi. This is not just in White Crane. We use this in Tai Chi also. So that's the water, and we show how to use that. So again, my time is up. This is part 2. I just wanted to explain that right quick, and I'm out. That's part of the Tai Chi Bo course, consultant instructors course. I'm out. Peace. You're supposed to go off.